Matthew chapter 16, we're there again today. And I want to read just verse 18. If you have your Bible, say, I've got mine. If you're looking at the screen, say, I'm looking. Jesus has asked the disciples, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? Some said he was John the Baptist. Some said he was Elijah. Some said he was one of the other prophets. And Jesus looked at them eyeball to eyeball and said, but who do you say that I am? And Simon Peter answered, verse 16, and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Did you hear what Jesus said? Upon this rock, this confession of faith of who I am, the Christ, the Son of the living God, I will, not might, may, hope, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Thank you for standing. You may be seated. We've already talked about the glorious building. It's built on a rock. We've already talked about the glorious builder, Jesus Christ. Today we're going to talk about the glorious battle. It's glorious because we win it. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And sometimes the gates of hell are very, very personal to us. Sometimes we encounter the devil in a real close-up way. Something that's terrifying. Something that transforms us into a needy individual suddenly. Needing only God at the moment. Not friends, not family, God. Because the gates of hell have attacked us. The history of the church has always been one of conflict and war. It has been constantly assailed by the deadly enemy. And how many of you know who he is? Say it with me. Satan. It's assailed constantly by Satan. Satan hates the church with a hatred that is unrelenting. He is ever stirring up battles and conflicts and hell against its members, and God forgive us, among its members. Pitiful, isn't it? He, Satan, instructs his children to constantly stir up conflict, strife, misunderstanding, hurt feelings, and broken fellowships among the members of the church. He knows what his job is. And he gives those demons of his, male and female, the opportunity to carry out his wishes among the fellowship of the local church. Look up here at me. How many of you in your lifetime have got your feelings hurt? Put your hand up, God's looking. How many of you in this lifetime have hurt someone's feelings? Put your hand up. Oh, how many of you have not been in fellowship with everyone like you should have been all the time during this sojourn? Let's see your hand. You know why? Because the devil is going about trying to destroy what Jesus is going to build in spite of the devil. He uses our personal weaknesses to his advantage. He knows what your weakness is. How does he know? You've told him. The devil is not omniscient. The devil doesn't know everything. But whatever you tell them, he writes it down and he uses it against you. You say, Brother Gary, I don't have any weaknesses. That's your weakness. You lie. And the devil knows you lie. Say amen right there. Amen. If we are weak as tap water, he knows it. If we're critical, he knows it. If we're unforgiving, put a chip on your shoulder and I dare you to knock it off. He knows it. If we're proud, he knows it. If we're phony, say phony. I'm not talking about telephony. I'm talking about phony. If we're phony, He knows it. If you got pain, He knows it. If you feel lost, He knows it. If you need freedom and saving, He knows it. If you got chains, He knows it. Now, how does He know all of that? Since He's not omniscient, how does the devil know that? You told him. He watched you. He listened to you. He heard you speak. He watched your actions. He knows our weaknesses. And here's the tragedy. He uses it against us. He doesn't say, oh boy, there's a Christian that's not going to amount to much. He's going to use you to help others not to amount to much. Didn't hear you. Either get in or get in this thing. What are you doing out there anyway? He uses you to ruin others. Run them off, tear them up, mess them up. He knows it. If we cannot get our head bruised by the devil, he'll certainly bruise your heel. He'll give you something to limp about. This ongoing war between Satan and the people of God has been waging and raging for 6,000 years. He's getting better at it, isn't he? And we're having to put up with it, aren't we? Remember Abel's offering? And he was what? Abel gave an offering, and what happened? Murdered. Who murdered him? Cain. Martin Luther said, as long as the world lasts, Cain will still be killing Abel. The devil's bunch is going to be killing the Lord's bunch. If they can't kill your life, they'll kill your influence. They'll tear you up, tear you out. It's been going on for 6,000 years. Noah's flood, judgment. Noah's ark, grace. Babel Tower, confusion. Abraham, faith. Abraham, failure. He pawned his wife. Chapter 20, the book of Genesis. Lot, Sodom. Sodom, destruction. Peter, denial, remorse. Paul, persecutor, preacher. All the way to today. Think about that. The devil's got a winning record in a lot of places. Tag-along churches. I said tag-along churches have times of prosperity and peace because they pose no problem to the gates of hell. But the true church is in perpetual conflict, drama on demand, starring whomever the devil can employ. And its battle never ends. It never stops. It goes on and on and on. I have a preacher friend that calls me every week, and he's got a new drama. I told him, I said, I wouldn't pastor that church 5 seconds. I am not going to be a director of drama. Why would we let the devil get two people fighting each other and have a drama going on for 6 weeks in the house of God? Is any sanity to that? No, it's insanity. And it's satanic. It's not God on the scene. It's the devil taking some ploy that he has, the weakness someone has, and manufacturing drama. Say drama. We have drama queens in the church. I'll tell you, preacher, if I'd have had my gun when she said what she said, I'd have shot her right between the eyes if I could have got by the mass carry. Aren't you a Christian? Aren't you sweet? You just make me want to say, uh-oh. Scratch that one. This battle goes on. Now, here's something you need to enjoy. If it started out in Abel offering to God, you think he's going to leave you out? The devil's going to bring conflict in your life. He's going to bring conflict in your family. He's going to bring conflict in your marriage. He's going to bring conflict in your children. He's going to bring conflict in your children's children. He's going to do it right on until God shuts him down and puts him in the pit where he's supposed to be. Church history proves the battles of the church and individuals of the church are a reality. Peter, Paul, James, John, Jude, Polycarp, Augustine, Luther, Calvin, Latimer, Lacan, Sexton, Tolman were all soldiers in this ongoing battle with the gates of hell. And people who knew these people didn't even know they was in a battle. Let us learn these lessons for battling the gates of hell, which shall not prevail. I'm going to go ahead and tell you up front, you're going to win if you'll battle. You're not going to get defeated. You say, I'm kind of timid, Pastor. I don't feel like getting right on the front lines. You better change your timidity into aggressiveness. You're not going to lose. The gates of hell shall not prevail. Say, the gates of hell shall not prevail. Boy, you're excited about it too, aren't you? I mean, you sound like cheerleaders that I've heard around this. Bounce them up, bounce them up, bounce them on up. If that's all I had in cheerleading, I'd fire the whole bunch, get me a megaphone, do it myself. Amen. Somebody say amen. Amen. Be precise. That's the first thing. Be precise. If you're going to battle the gates of hell, you better be precise. Our enemy, the gates of hell, not the person or the problem or the pain that hell is using against us. And you cannot retreat. You must stand. You must fight. You must be precise in your thinking, in your battling, that the gates of hell is your enemy. Not the lady sitting on the seat beside you. Not that no-count mother-in-law you've talked about for years. God gave me a great mother-in-law. She loved me as one of her own. Larry, you probably don't know this, but every book I bought and every class in my college career, she paid every dime of it. She treated me like I was her own. And I don't understand why people can't get along with their mother-in-law. You married her offspring. Why in the world don't you keep the cow if you like the calf? Didn't hear anybody. Be precise. You cannot shoot at it. You got to shoot it. You can't pray about it. You got to pray at it. You got to zero in on what your problem is. And your problem doesn't go to church with you. Your problem doesn't live in the house with you. Your problem doesn't work beside you. Your problem is the gates of hell. The powers of the devil. Every armament he can arm and shoot at you, that's your problem. Now, let me help you do something. Stop blaming people. People is not your problem. The devil may use people, but look beyond the people to the problem causer. It's the gates of hell. Why would you hold someone responsible in your relationship if hell is using them to attack you? Recognize the problem. Be precise. You realize that three people can see the same accident and got three different stories about it? Isn't that amazing? Do you realize that people can have the same problem and they don't see it the same way? I'd like to be a medical doctor for 1 week. I'd scab over a whole generation of people. Scab them over. Say, I got something for that. That's not your problem. Here's your problem. A lot of our health problems are demonic. Listen to me. A lot of our health problems are demonic. You need to get precise in what's causing your problem. I spoke with a man yesterday. He said, I was having indigestion from right here to right here. Just right here. He said, I thought it was indigestion. And he said, one day I couldn't breathe. I rushed myself to Holston Valley Hospital, and the doctor said, if you hadn't got here in the next hour, your heart would explode. He's called it indigestion. It was heart trouble. Most of our problem is heart trouble. Say amen. Get precise. Get the answers. Attack the problem. Solve the problem. Brother Gary, the next time I get an issue, I'm going to call you because it sounds like you know my problem. I do. It's the gates of hell. Oh, yes. Not only be precise. You're writing this down, aren't you? There will be a test. Number 2, be prepared. Be prepared. Ephesians 6:10-14 says, put on the whole armor of God. Put it on. You're going to encounter things, you're going to penetrate your armor. You put on the whole armor of God and you can stand against the devil and the gates of hell. You memorize this book. You sing this book. You believe this book. You read this book. You apply this book. The devil will leave you alone. He don't want to come up against the Word of God. He knows what happens when he does. He loses. He knows what the outcome's going to be. He's going to the lake of fire. Tell him that. When he starts bugging you, bug him. He brings up your past, bring up his future. He talks about you, talk about him. How are you going to do it? The Word of God. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may stand in the evil day. Be prepared. The weapons of our warfare have been tried and proven by generations of poor sinners, and not one weapon has ever failed. There's a man calling in on a radio show. I was on the road and didn't even remember what the radio show was, but his son had just graduated from boot camp at Camp Lejeune. He's going to, they told me where he was going on the radio. I can't remember where he was going, but that day they issued him rifles and said, go out and shoot them. He said his would always shoot a foot to the right. The rifle was so old and worn out, it wouldn't shoot straight. And that upset him. He thought, if I'm going on the battlefield to defend my country, I want a gun that'll shoot straight. You know why they're not shooting straight? They're worn out. They're World War II replicas. We need to spend some money to arm our troops or bring them home and build castles of stone. Are you hearing me? The next day, said the next day. If I couldn't say it any louder than that, I'd go to the house and get me a bologna sandwich. Say the next day.
Next day.
They issued bayonets. And he called his daddy and he said, Daddy, yesterday they issued me a rifle that wouldn't shoot straight. Today they issued me a bayonet and the tip's broken off of it. That's where we are. Did I hear you? And you said, I said that's where you are. That's where we are as a nation. We've had years of people who didn't believe in fighting. They believed in Ray Trate. We need the retreat party in this country. Sandy Pelosi could be the main number one leader. Somebody said she's going home. I said, home won't have her. They send her to my house. I wouldn't have her. I'm not talking about Nancy Pelosi. You know who she is. But that whole element of the world has decided we don't need guns that shoot straight. We don't need bayonets that are sharp. Let's just back up and wait, and back up and wait. The number one issue in America today is, what are we going to do with these immigrants that are illegal? Well, let's bring it down to a microcosm. How many of you know what a microcosm is? A microcosm is a small view of the big picture. So rather than enlarge it, let's bring it down to a finite view. Here it is. You come home one night and you can tell that someone's broken into your house. And you go in and there's a family there, dark-skinned, a man and wife and 7 kids. And they've just kind of taken the place over. They're watching your television. They've raided your refrigerator and they've already picked out the bed they're going to sleep in. And you come in on that. We're talking about a microcosm. Get the big picture down to where we can understand it. Now, what are you going to do about this invasion? That's about right. You're going to sit there like this. Let me tell you something. If you call the police, in most cities in America now, there's a sanctuary mentality. So here you've got these folks in your home that broke in. They're ravaging through your stuff. They've already claimed your beds. And the legal experts say, you can't do nothing about it. Am I hard-hearted? No, I'm just a realist. We get this down to the microcosm. And you call your senator and say, what am I going to do? He said, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd give them 10 years to improve your place. Ten years is not a long time unless you've got 9 illegal immigrants in your house. That's a pretty long time. So what do you do now? The police have said this is a sanctuary place, and the political powers have said, give them 10 years. Give them a path to citizenship. I tell you what, start naming the children names that you want them to have. Are you hearing me? Start enjoying the food they eat. You acclimate to them. You start taking Spanish lessons. Are you in the microcosm? Are you happy in that microcosm? Huh? That's what they're trying to do with us. We've got to be prepared, folks. And when our country is giving out guns that don't shoot straight and bayonets, it's not whole. It's time to somebody raise their hand and say, hey, wait a minute. We better take care of our warriors because war is coming. We better take care of our soldiers. We're going to need them. And we better get some more of them that can read and write and run. We're going to need them. Be prepared. I get calls like this. Brother Gary, can you tell me where that verse is in the Bible? I know it's over there somewhere. I think it's in Bartholomew. But can you tell me where that verse is over in Bartholomew that says, uh-oh, watch out, here it comes. And I say, that's not in the Bible. Oh, my mama quoted that to me 100 times. I don't care if your mama did quote it, it's not in the Bible. Not in the Bible. Be prepared. How many of you are prepared for the microcosm that's coming? I pray you are. Number 3, be patient. Now that's my problem. I'm the most impatient white boy that you've ever looked in the face of. If I order food, I want them to have it in their hand behind them. You that way? If I'm pumping gas, I don't want it to take 10 minutes to pump 10 gallons. I hate red lights. I hate stop signs. Give me a yield sign, and I'll ease in between two of them. Anybody there? Yeah. Well, let me tell you what the Bible says. God's still working on me. I'm 73, and God's still working on me. Romans 8:28. And we know, say we know, that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. Be patient. Everything's going to work out according to the plan of God. You'd think that we don't even believe God's in charge, but He is. And because He is, we are to be patient. The battle is working for our good. Every battle you have is killing off you out of you and putting God in you where you were. Son, that won't preach for, will it? I don't know where I agree with that or not, Reverender. Let Reverender tell you something. And we know that all things, big things, little things, bad things, good things, slow things, fast things, tall things, short things, ugly things, pretty things, all things, say all things, work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. He will fulfill His purpose. This battle is working on our bodies for good. This battle tends to sanctify us. We don't want that. I got saved 43 years ago. I hadn't learned nothing, hadn't done nothing, ain't planning on doing nothing. You better go back to the water that wet you, sister, brother. It sanctifies us. It kills us out of us. You have time during this battle to think about what really matters, what's important, what's eternal. God will use it to sanctify us, make us more like Jesus. He didn't run. He won. This battle keeps us awake spiritually. I've often thought I was going to give out paper and pens, and I know we wouldn't get the pens back, but I want to give out a piece of paper and a pen and say, I want you to write down, what do you think the spiritual battle is today? Some lady'd write, that old school bus would turn around my yard every morning. I get so mad I could spit up blood. That's your battle. Our drummer's driving that bus. What you could do is sit on the same side he's on, shoot him while he's thumping. Couldn't you? Keeps us awake spiritually. This battle weans us from the world. This battle makes us patient. This battle keeps us humble. This battle makes us pray more. This battle, above all, it makes us long for heaven and home and pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it already is in heaven. Number 4, say thank God. Be positive. I may be the most positive white boy you know. It's hard for me to get in the minus column. I've had things happen to me. My brother and I have both been through wars that you don't even know about. But be positive. Our warfare with the gates of hell is as much a work of grace as the inward peace that we enjoy. Grace is dragging you through the gates of hell. Think about that. Why? To show you and me that the gates of hell shall not, cannot, will not prevail. God's going to win. No cross, no crown. No battles, no victories. No conflicts, no evidence of saving faith. No membership to the church on the rock. Jesus said, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So be precise, be prepared, be patient, be positive. And remember, I like this, the gates of hell shall not prevail. Well, who's going to prevail, preacher? The church on the rock shall prevail. Question. Are you a part of the church on the rock? Or are you a part of the church on the sinking sand? Jesus knew not to say, I will build my church on this sinking sand. Because he didn't want his church to sink. He wanted his church to soar. And he built it on the rock. He is the rock. On Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking, stinking, sinking, stinking sand. Stand with me, please. Heads are bowed and eyes are closed.